Welcome, students. By the end of this class, you'll have a simple plan to manage your studies, hobbies, and rest. Let's learn how to be smart with time, because these students who manage time top the class. Welcome, students. Lecture 14 is here, and today we're talking about time management, study plus play balance. Ready? Let's begin. Chapter 14, Control of Minutes. When you have achieved time mastery at its most advanced stage, you are no longer interested in fitting more in your day. You are interested in getting more out of each and every minute. You are not interested in going faster. You are interested in performing better through less. Chapter 14 will teach you how to control your minutes like an artist controls his brush, gracefully and with perfect alignment of intentions. 14.1 minutes are the masterpieces of a designed life. We plan our lives on days, weeks, months, quarters, decades, and even centuries. But it is important to understand that our lives do not unfold in huge chunks, but rather in minutes. And these minutes are not mere dots on the line, but the brush strokes of the masterpiece. The design of our lives is not created with one single choice. It is formed from thousands of little choices made in the course of years. The truth is that most people fritter away their minutes because they think they're insignificant. But they aren't, because when you look at the difference between ordinary and extraordinary, you'll see that it's 14.2%. The difference between ordinary and extraordinary is often just 10 more minutes. Breakthroughs do not arise out of working for many more hours. Breakthroughs arise out of being present through those few moments of extra work. It's the speaker who practices a little bit more before making their presentation. It's the author who spends a little bit more time working on that paragraph. It's the entrepreneur who takes that extra moment to read that email. If you walk away too soon, you're not just passing up on a chance. You're walking away from a moment of momentum. Those last 10 minutes may have been all you needed to achieve insight, to be creative, to make a connection. The problem is that most people walk away before reaching that point, especially if it's uncomfortable and confusing. It's not that they can't do it, it's that they don't know how much those few extra minutes are worth. The mastery of time involves having a different mindset, which is that success is hidden in those few extra moments. When you train yourself to go on for a little longer by breathing, observing, improving, then you start seeing opportunities that others never see. Success is more than effort. Success is what comes from continuing effort even after you feel like stopping. 14.3 What you do in your spare moments will define the shape of your life. A spare moment is that space in between, the waiting room, the red light, the coffee line, brief breaks between meetings. For most people, they are filled with entertainment or distraction. For the deliberate individual, however, they are filled with the potential of planting seeds. They meditate, they write, they stretch, they think, they breathe. And over time, they will reflect what truly matters. Your between time reveals your true priorities because your schedule is a manifestation of your priorities. Your spare moments reveal your default settings. Do you tune out, or do you tune in? Do you numb yourself out or nurture yourself? All of the little choices you make create your emotional state and decide how you enter the next moment in one piece or shattered. Get back those lost minutes. There is no requirement for you to fill them up with activities. Just select them and make them sacred and rejuvenating for you. This is because when you stop regarding these minutes as waste, then these become the best times to reconnect with yourself. 14.4 Precision trumps pressure any day. From childhood, we've grown up thinking that hard work will always pay off. But the answer is not in putting in more efforts. The answer lies in precision. Pressure tells us to do more. Precision demands us to focus on what is the most important thing at present. Time mastery does not involve pressure, but involves precision in aim. Pressure creates burnout. Precision creates breakthrough. Pressure creates reactions. Precision creates intentionality. It is the difference between hacking a tree with a blunt tool and hitting it with sharp intention. That sharpness does not come from hustle. It comes from design. Design knowing how and when and why. Before you undertake each task, you should ask yourself this one simple question. Is this the best use of my next 10 minutes? The very asking of that question may save you years. By doing so each time, you save your time from being wasted, and in saving your time, you make your life not just full but fruitful. 14.5. The moment you recognize your distraction is the moment you take back control. Distractibility is not what's wrong with you. Distraction is an alert from your brain telling you that there is something wrong and something needs to be taken care of. And that moment when you realize it and don't pass judgment on yourself but return to it, your power comes from that very place. Time makers are not immune to distractions. They only recognize their error earlier on. They are not consumed with self-loathing. They do not let themselves get waylaid by one mistake. They see, breathe, and go back to the present moment. This is what sets the act of reclaiming one's attention apart from a life lived in chaos. Train yourself to be aware, to return, not through coercion, but through intention. "I am back" is probably one of the most powerful things that you can say to yourself. Why? Because when you practice coming back, you are training yourself in being present. And when you are truly present, your time is amplified. 14.6. The greatest thing you can do with a minute is make a decision. Few things are as powerful as one decision in perfect alignment. Change requires a long time. It might take weeks, months, even years. Yet change starts in a minute. In 1 minute, you can tell yourself, "It's enough." In 1 minute, you can decide, "This is the new direction I'm going to take." In 1 minute, you can make up your mind about the commitment you will make now. This is where decision ignites change. Time makers do not put off making important decisions. They do not dance around being indecisive until it clouds their judgment. They decide out of identity, intention, and truth, not always perfectly, but intentionally. They know that although waiting may feel safe, it is deciding that will open up direction for them. Make your choice. Let it not be by chance. Use your time to make a choice. Commit to that choice. Declare that choice. For the direction of your life is not changed when the world turns around. It is changed when you turn it around. 14.7. Your breath is the quickest path back to the moment. In a world driven by speed, nothing is more rebellious and powerful than your conscious breath. Your breath is always accessible. It is always at hand. And when you use it deliberately, you can change your nervous system, your brain power, and your state of mind in less than a minute. If you are feeling frazzled, then the last thing you should do is cancel your commitments and quit your job. The one thing that you should do is breathe. But not just any kind of breathing, deep breathing. When you do this, you communicate with yourself saying, "I'm here, I'm fine, I'm present." Time makers use breathing as their way to hit the reset button. Prior to meetings, post-failure. During transitions, small but important. Since each time you breathe it back is a moment you get it back, and the more you practice it, the more your default mode becomes silence. Not because life is quiet, but because you know how to be quiet in it. 14.8. Most minutes are wasted because they're not protected. We protect our phones with passwords, our homes with locks, our identities with firewalls, but our time? We often leave that completely open, available to every notification, every request, every whim of distraction. And as a result, we waste not because we're lazy, but because our minutes aren't protected. They're vulnerable, unclaimed, and the unclaimed always gets consumed. Unless you protect your minutes, someone will assign them for you. This is your inbox. This is your boss. This is the algorithm. This is the urge to flee. The time makers understand that there is a cost to every minute and pay attention to the way it is spent. They block time, distract from it, set borders around it, but most of all, they respect their time in spite of everyone else. It isn't necessary to be militant to get focused. All one needs to do is get clear. Where are you spending your minutes? Are they on something that is going to help you in the future, or are they something that distracts you from your present discontentment? Treat your minutes as precious they are. 14.9. Most people aren't short on time, they're short on rhythm. The reason we struggle with our workload is due to time. I wish I had more time. There's simply too much on my plate. However, this isn't an issue of time, rather it's one of rhythm. The ability to make an appearance on a regular basis without exhausting ourselves is due to having rhythm. A time maker does more than simply prevent time, he creates time. He knows when he works best, when he crashes, when to interact, and when to recharge. He does not resist his natural flow, he works within it. This does not come by chance. This comes from intention. From experimentation and calibration of himself and his days to his peak performance level. What is your rhythm? Are you aware of your most productive times of day? Or when your energy dips and flows? Until you find that out, time will never seem right to you. But once you do, time will start to work for you, not against you. 14.10 Excellence happens 1 minute at a time. We tend to think of excellence as a massive achievement, an award, a title, a final product that impresses the world. But true excellence is built minute by minute, in the ordinary, in the unseen, in the choice to give your best even when no one is watching. Time makers know that greatness isn't made in dramatic moments. It's made in faithfulness to the small ones. Each moment you give your complete attention. Each time without fail you finish what you started. Each time without fail you speak with deliberation. This is the foundation of a remarkable life. There is nothing about it that is in the least bit glamorous. Yet little by little these moments accumulate into mastery and beyond. It is not about being perfect. It is about presence. It is about intentionality and doing what needs to be done. It is about respecting the very minute you are living. Thus, if you wish to create an outstanding life, don't look for huge moments, but rather look for aligned moments. 14.11 The future is built in the minute you're holding. Most people wait for a better season to live more intentionally. They wait for more time, less stress, greater clarity. But the future is not something you find, it's something you build. And you build it in the minutes you're holding right now, not later, not someday, now, because the only place life ever actually happens is in the present moment. Now, from this chapter, you have to know that the minute is not something small at all. The minute is everything. The minute is when decisions are made. The minute is when concentration is gained back. The minute is when truths are told. The minute is when directions are changed. The minute is when you take a breath. The minute is when you start afresh. The minute is when you make your choices about who you will become. It's not necessary to chase time to have power. What is necessary is to be fully present in time. Here lies the power of mastery, not in your next discovery, but in your next moment. 14.12 Rhythm is the root of real freedom. The concept of freedom is not clearly understood by many. Many people equate freedom with the power to do anything at any time without restrictions. But true freedom has nothing to do with chaos, but rhythm. It involves the capability to flow and move through time with presence, energy, and awareness that you have already incorporated your highest values in the very structure of your days. Rhythm provides freedom since it eliminates uncertainty. It eliminates decision-making fatigue. It adds cadence to your life. Everyone resists structure because it is thought to be confining. The funny thing is that it is a lack of structure that causes chaos. This is what causes stress to build up in the morning, causes work to go unfinished, and causes relationships to be rushed. Structure gives you rhythm. It tells you what is coming next and gives your life a rhythm. You will no longer be in survival mode, but will live by faith once more. Rhythm is not inflexibility. Rhythm can be bendable to the seasons of your life. However, rhythm retains its basic form. Your rhythms give home to your values on the calendar. Once you have made your rhythm, you will find yourself wondering how you lived without it. That is because rhythm will restore you. 14.13 Rhythm energizes you, not just organizes you. When we think of rhythm, we think of structure, orderliness, predictability. But rhythm isn't only about order, it's about energy. It's about understanding yourself and knowing what makes you creative, what makes you sleepy, what makes you social, what makes you silent. It's a pattern in your life that recognizes the waves of your physical body and the chemistry of your mind. Rhythm doesn't just organize, it energizes you. If you have no rhythm in your life, all your hours will seem equally difficult. You run into obstacles without warning. You struggle to be productive during non-optimal hours or take a rest during the best hours for you. This struggle will exhaust you psychologically and emotionally. However, if you synchronize your tasks with your optimal time slots, write during your peak performance times, conduct meetings when you are sociable, etc., you will generate energy. Time makers not only stop themselves from filling up space with hours, they construct patterns of energy that flow like breath rather than fight like boxing. This is what enables them to get things done, not by working harder, but by working smarter, by preserving their precious creative moments and recovery periods. 14.14 Morning Rhythm sets your mood for the day. Your morning hour is a weather system. It creates the mood with which you will carry everything else forward. But if your day starts out frantic, then your whole day is filled with those reactions. On the other hand, if your day starts out deliberately, maybe even just 20 minutes of rhythm or reflection, then you set the mood, and everyone around you is affected by it. Time makers do not just wake up, they rise rhythmically. These time makers have arranged their morning routines like a pilot's check of his cockpit to ensure everything is in harmony before takeoff. For some, this includes drinking water, movement, writing, praying, breathing, or even just looking out of the window without saying anything. This is not about following another person's ritual, but crafting a routine that will replenish you. It doesn't have to be a very long routine. It just has to be unique to you. Some kind of predictable, consistent, and rejuvenating rhythm, because once you set off your day with a rhythm, it's not just about the hour but the whole day. 14.15 Your weekly rhythm will be your guide, not your shackles. A lot of people can tell the difference between being scheduled and being rhythmic. Being scheduled means being rigid and inflexible. The slightest changes can break your schedule to pieces. But being rhythmic involves being flexible and adaptable while maintaining your own internal structure. A time maker creates a weekly structure that has the quality of music, not a table in a document. There is room for being focused, flowing, recovering, and orienting yourself to your energy levels. Your weekly calendar needs to reflect what is truly important to you rather than the immediate urgency that you may be dealing with in your life. For example, if your family is important to you, how does it get into your calendar? Is it that important for you to have good health? If yes, then how do you use this invaluable resource? Perfection is not the key here. You need to safeguard that which is most important. The rhythm isn't about perfection, it's all about alignment. And if you can get your week to work in rhythm, then your stress will not vanish, but it won't run the show anymore. And get your week to work in rhythm, then your stress will not vanish, but it won't run the show anymore. 14.16 Alignment through repetitive action, not explosive outbursts. One is inclined to believe that the power of one productive day will turn the tide. One day of pushing oneself will lead either to catching up, moving forward, or solving everything all at once. But real alignment doesn't come overnight. It is developed through repetition. Rhythm of life is not running to increase efficiency, but gradual formation of your habits that make your values manifest themselves automatically. Time makers don't rely on motivation, they rely on rhythm. That means their workouts don't depend on inspiration. Their writing time doesn't wait for clarity. Their thinking time doesn't vanish when things get busy. Why? Because it's already built in. The rhythm runs the routine. And when life gets messy, as it always does, the rhythm pulls them back to center without needing to start over. Don't chase momentum in spurts. Create a pattern that can be repeated again and again. Give yourself an identity rooted in predictability and alignment. Because as you continue to repeat, it becomes who you are. Not something that you do, but who you are. And from there, you aren't working on a project anymore. You're practicing peace. 14.17 Rhythm protects your future from decision fatigue. Every day, we make hundreds of decisions: what to wear, what to eat, what to do next, how to respond, when to stop. Each one draws energy from the same mental battery, and as that battery depletes, so does the quality of our choices. This is called decision fatigue, and it's one of the silent killers of clarity, consistency, and peace. But rhythm prevents it. It eliminates the constant questioning of what comes next, because the answer is already built in. The time makers don't spend any energy making the same decisions daily, as they have built rhythms that negate any need for making decisions. Mondays are set aside for working deeply, Fridays for reflection, mornings for creativity, and afternoons for collaboration. It's not an ordered process, but a well-thought-out one which reduces friction and ensures that brain power is conserved for important moments. In case you get exhausted because of making small decisions, begin with building the rhythms that negate any need for guessing. You can program your first hour of each day. Schedule your meals. Have recurring reflective moments. Ensure that the important things become the defaults and not topics for discussion. When rhythms manage the routine, then you conserve energy for important matters. 14.1.8. The rest that rhythm provides is what produces true recovery. Rest is more than just the lack of work, it's the act of actively recovering. Without rhythm, even your moments of rest become reactive in nature. You plop down on the couch, mindlessly scroll or check out, but do not really recover. With rhythm, however, rest becomes a ritual, something that is set apart in its design and is non-negotiable. The time makers do not rest after they have crashed. They plan their rest because they know that they have limited energy and that their aspirations can only be maintained when there is replenishment. This is the reason why they carve out time to be quiet, alone, in nature, active, musical, or humorous, not once but repeatedly, seeking to live a life of contribution over the long haul. Develop a ritual of rest that is as sacred as your most productive moment. Rest is not a gift, but a duty. The more you make it a ritual, the more resilient you will be. This is because when you rest well, you think clearly. 14.19. A rhythmic life is a resilient life. Life will throw storms, delays, disappointments, sudden change. The people who survive those storms aren't always the strongest, they're the ones with rhythm. Rhythm is what keeps you grounded when the schedule blows up. When you've been knocked down, rhythm pulls you back to movement. It tells you what's next without having to rethink everything. That's resilience in motion. They don't need perfect weeks in order for them to keep coming, because they already have their habits within their weeks which tie them down. If the time makers ever find themselves sick, then their body will know what needs to be done for them to recover. If ever they find themselves discouraged, then their rhythms will keep calling the bell in their life at the same hour and help restore their structure once more. If you are always having your life interrupted by various interruptions, do not try to force yourself but create better rhythms in your life. A morning habit, weekly check-ins, a rhythm of reflection, movement routines. These habits don't just make you more productive, they keep your peace secure. 14.20 Rhythm does not strangle creativity, rhythm fuels creativity. The fallacy is that creativity arises when life is chaotic and wild. That structure strangles creativity. On the contrary, creativity requires rhythm. Rhythm provides your brain with the structure necessary for deeper thought. It eliminates the interruptions that keep your brain from thinking creatively. It provides the environment for your thoughts to come together. Not only do time makers have productivity, but also they have high rates of production because they don't wait for inspiration, but rather they have carved out room for it. Time makers have margin, silence, play, input, and time to daydream, and time to create because they know that once the mind is certain about a window of creativity, it won't get desperate anymore but start creating meaningfully. Do you want more of that? Don't wait for the muse to arrive, but create an environment where it feels welcome and make rhythm of your imagination. 14.21 Rhythm doesn't make you less free, it makes you fully alive. The ultimate deception that we have been fed is that freedom involves no regulations, no restrictions, and no schedule. However, such freedom is an illusion because it causes burnout, lost chances, broken promises, and untapped potential. True freedom, the kind that endures, comes through rhythm, as when one states, "I will embrace this life before it embraces me. I will claim these hours before anything else claims them." Rhythm gives your values a shape, your dreams a home, your character a daily stage to be practiced. It doesn't cage you, it grounds you. It doesn't box your soul, it builds your backbone. You don't need to be available to everything to live a full life. You need to be devoted to a few sacred rhythms that hold you in alignment, even when the world pulls you out of it. This is where time freedom begins, not through leaving behind the calendar, but by creating the calendar in your own voice. Rhythm does not limit your greatness. It illuminates it each and every day until your greatness is revealed as your own rhythm. This paragraph serves as the conclusion to Chapter 14 with the definition of freedom as rhythm and not spontaneity. This needs to be kept in mind, that rhythm is not repetition but rather coordination. Your minutes do not need to be controlled, they need to be respected. Rhythm protects your energy. Rhythm prevents decision fatigue. Rhythm builds resilience. Rhythm promotes creativity. Rhythm magnifies your focus. Rhythm keeps up with recovery. And most importantly, it enables you to stop living by accident and start living on purpose. By rhythm, your time will not be squandered in chaos but used to make a difference. You no longer have to race against time. You no longer have to prove anything through each task. All you have to do is establish a rhythm based on how you were intended to live. 1 minute at a time. 1 morning at a time. 1 sacred return at a time. Great job, everyone. Today we learned the secret: balance. Plan your study time, enjoy your playtime, and don't waste either. Small habits today equal to big success tomorrow. Thanks for being here and paying attention. Have a productive day.